Okay. 7 p.m. on Tuesday, April 4th. We're going to call our Environmental Commission meeting to order. We're going to start with a roll call. So we have some new members, and I guess we start with our new members, right, Daisy?
Yes.
So even though they're not sworn in, we still do the roll call.
Yes, you do.
Okay. So Michael?
Yeah, present.
Sandra?
Present.
Shantu?
Present.
Sue?
Present.
Chuck Bonacci, present. Jonah?
Present.
Virginia?
Present.
Lynn?
Present.
And our council representative, Daisy Walker.
Present.
Okay. Our next item on the agenda is for the oath of office for our newest commissioners. So we're going to do that in the center there, right, Daisy?
Right here. Okay, so Jonah and are there any-
Sue and Michael.
Okay, you know what? Stand here because of the camera. They don't need my picture.
So I think you're going to go one at a time, right?
I'm going to do them all together,
Okay.
and then Jonah, you give your name, and you give your name, and
Okay.
you give your name. Okay. 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 Now, I'm gonna give the oath of office, and if you can raise your right hand. Okay, when I say I, then we're not gonna give our names all together. I just want it individually. Okay,
I, Jonah Pichette,
Susan Nutzel.
Michael Walton.
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution and laws
the Constitution and laws
of the United States of America,
of the United States of America,
the Constitution and laws
the Constitution and
of
laws
the State of Ohio,
of the State of Ohio,
the Charter,
the Charter,
ordinances,
ordinances,
and resolutions of the City of Twinsburg, Ohio,
and resolutions of the City of Twinsburg, Ohio,
and will faithfully,
and will faithfully,
honestly, impartially
impartially
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
as a member of
as a member of
the Environmental
the
Commission
Environmental
Environmental
Commission
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my abilities,
as I shall answer
as I shall answer
to God.
to God.
God.
Okay, very good. So sign your name on there. There should be 2 copies. And
You want to sign both?
yes, sign both. Okay, and then what I'll do, I'll sign it, and then I'll give you back your copy,
Sure.
and then one will be on file at the City of Twinsburg.
Okay,
Okay,
perfect.
all right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. So we're going to go a little rogue from the agenda, if that's okay. We have 3 new members, and I think it would be helpful before we have an appointment of a chairperson and a vice chair that we had like a little bit of information about ourselves. Does that make sense? So do we want to start with Lynn? Just like a brief introduction, I guess, so they know who you are and we. Does that make sense, Virginia, what I'm asking? Okay.
Put me on the spot here.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, I am Lynn Tansing. I've been in Twinsburg for about 6.5 years now, moved from Florida, and I'm happy to be on this commission. I did similar work in Florida for Coca-Cola.
Virginia Schmidt. I've been in Twinsburg 25 years now. I'm an active member of Twinsburg Garden Club and have a interest in native plants, recycling, and other things that Environmental Commission supports.
I'm Jonah Pichette, moved to Twinsburg about a year ago with my fiance to make this our forever home and, place we want to raise our kids and, start that family with. I've been interested in conservation, environmentalism pretty much my whole life. It's how I spend my summers, how I spend my free time outdoors, just really working to better our environment, our planet, again, for future children and making sure they have a place that is beneficial to them.
Chuck Bonacci. I grew up in Twinsburg. I live in the same neighborhood that I grew up in. And the neighborhood I live in borders Glen Willow. And as a little kid, I saw the impact of waste with a landfill that got bigger and bigger and bigger. At the same time, I was in activities like Boy Scouting and snow sports and spending a lot of time outside and realizing that there's different things we could do to make less landfills. So that's kind of where this passion comes from. But it was a different thing to see as a kid.
Sue Metzel. I'm not quite a year here in Twinsburg, but moved from a joining city, Macedonia. Was there for 43 years. I served on the ZBA commission there for 24 years. And I said I would be on this one or that one, and this is the one that they picked me for. So anyway, I have 11 grandchildren, so I'm very interested in leaving them a better world and not full of, plastic bottles and garbage and whatnot. And I'd like to get the youth more involved, because I think that if they, don't get used to throwing trash out the car window, they'll be better citizens when they get older. I still see people doing that, by the way. It just really bothers me. And I'd like to, we're not really part of keeping the waters clean, but we should be, because we have a limited supply. And so anyway, I'm pretty big on environmental things. That's why I'm happy to be here.
It's nice to have you. I'm Shantanu. Moved to Reminderville 10 years ago, and then into Twinsburg about 8 years ago. I've been in the environmental field for about 25 years. And, I used to drive by and look at that, and I was like, take a look at that. Take a look at that. I said, I don't, and finally I'm like, okay, I'll do it. So, it's been great. So, yeah, I'm general manager for Sarcon Environmental. We are in the recycling sustainability field. So, it's just my field, and I love it. So,
Great.
thank you. Go ahead.
I'm Sandra Baines, and I've been in Twinsburg about 2.5 years. I've been interested in environmental issues when I think back, pretty much my whole life, but over the past 10 years, a little bit more aggressively. And I have a master's degree in sustainability management, and I'm just trying to bring what I learned through that program to Twinsburg, the policies we promote.
Michael Walton. My wife and I have lived in Twinsburg for about 25 years now. Professionally, I work in IT. I've worked in the field for about 30 years, so quite a long time. Try to stay involved in the community. I'm a member of the Twinsburg CERT and been on there for a couple of years now, and just recently this year was asked to serve on the CERT Leadership Committee, so I'm a part of that as well. And like I said, I appreciate the opportunity to serve the city.
Awesome. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, everyone, for that introduction. Daisy, do you want to introduce yourself again, or?
Yes, I'm Daisy Walker. I'm Council Ward 3 for the city of Twinsburg. And I was where you guys were about, 4, 5, 6 years ago. And I was on the commission, I think, for 15 years. And Chuck was there with me, and we worked very well together. So one thing I could tell you about your leader, Chuck Bonacci, when you give him an idea, or if he has an idea, he will certainly follow through on this, because the environmental commission and also our environment in the city of Twinsburg is dear to Chuck's heart. So he's a great guy to be on this committee.
Thanks, Daisy. So it comes to a time where we get to appoint a chairperson for our committee, or our commission. Do we have any nominations for a chair?
I'd like to nominate Chuck Bonacci.
Second that.
That's awesome.
I'll second that.
Okay,
third it then.
this is good. This is an affirmation that we're on the right track if this has been that way. So much appreciated. I'll continue to effort to move us forward a little bit. It's not going to be big steps. What we're asking and what we're tasked to do is to change behaviors, change ideas, and to be a voice for the environment. And that's a large component. And honored that you guys have done that. So I'll accept the nomination. If there's any other nominations, we'll entertain those. Otherwise, we vote, I guess, Daisy? Or okay. So no more nominate. I don't see any. So then we'll vote.
Yay.
Yay.
Okay.
No one's opposed?
Okay.
I'll be the chairperson again. That's really, I'm flattered. An appointment of our vice chair.
I'll nominate Virginia.
I was going to just ask if I could nominate you, but
I second that.
Okay. Virginia, are you okay?
yes,
Okay.
I would serve. Thank you.
Very good. Any other nominations? Virginia is an asset to this commission with her expertise in gardening and her expertise and willingness to step out of a comfort zone and see things and visit places and to share those experiences with others. So we'll vote for Virginia. Everyone, aye? Yay?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? No one's opposed. Virginia will be our vice chair. Attached to an email, we had minutes. The minutes are basically off of the audio recordings. So when we're speaking, we should speak clearly and into the microphones. That helps them. If you were not at the meeting and you had a chance to watch it on YouTube or to listen, you can attest if the minutes are correct or if there's any needed changes.
I have a couple changes, and
Okay.
it's probably because of maybe not speaking into the microphone. The first item, when I mentioned the first sentence is okay, but I think the second she discussed with members should be changed, that she mentioned that we have a Facebook page, Twinsburg Environmental, and Chuck and I are the admins as opposed to creating one. And then this page is used for upcoming events that arise. And then Chuck Bonacci stated that Twinsburg Environmental has 89 followers. So just to clarify that it's already existing, it's not something that was going to be created. Something to be used more, certainly, but it exists.
And we're up one follower.
Oh, good.
Okay. Any others?
There was, yeah.
All right.
Okay. So is there a motion to approve the minutes
The minutes.
with the amendments that Virginia mentioned? So, awesome. No one's opposed. Those will pass. I don't think we have any presentations. The presentation portion of the meeting we've had in the past, we've had scout groups come talk to us. We've had presentations from city departments relating to engineering, water quality, wastewater. We've had presentations from school groups. We've had lots of folks talking about trees and that kind of stuff. So over the years, we've had a fair amount of presentations, just none today. I don't see any audience participation today. So that's going to not happen because there's no one's here. The next thing would be reports from our commissioners. Typically, the reports from the commissioners are, what are we doing? What should we be looking into? If we have an ask that we want Daisy to go to the rest of council with, or to have myself or Daisy bring something up with the mayor. That's kind of the structure of how these commissioner reports funnel into an actionable item.
Right. And I can also add that if you ever want to do a presentation of this meeting to council,
Right.
you're more than welcome.
So sometimes we'll recap. If we had a presentation here, we'll recap. We've had individuals come talk to us about electric vehicles, solar power, and then we've gone to council and shared their request to us.
Interesting. Continue, please.
Okay. So do we want to start on Michael's side with reports, or do you want to hear a report from somebody that's been here before you give one?
Yeah, let's do that, because since I'm the first time here, I don't really think I have a lot to add.
Okay. Sandra, do you want to?
My report is to say, I'm wondering, does Twinsburg have an ordinance for scheduling for lawn watering so that we're not constantly watering lawns 24/7 excessively, even when it's raining? Or a lot of towns have this to, respect a resource that's precious, which we learned in the talk that the teacher from the high school gave. Are you aware?
I don't know, but I'll look that up. And, because I'll be meeting with the mayor, and I'll ask him about that. I don't think so, but you never know. You never know.
Can I get agreement among the council that that's something we would like to suggest that we put forth to the,
So you mean if we have a dry spell that certain residents water certain days, like?
exactly,
okay.
based on your address,
Right.
even days, odd day, whatever, I mean, there's lots of different ways to do it. Rather than wait till the dry spell comes, if it's already in place.
Sure.
Is that a reasonable, I know this area is not necessarily known for drought, I don't think, but we did have a dry spell last summer, and people were watering, and.
I agree, and I have a question for Daisy, like, what would be the procedure? Is that like what would that be called? An ordinance, like?
It'll probably be an ordinance.
Okay.
And what I'll do, I'm planning on being at City Hall tomorrow, and I'll discuss this with possibly the mayor and the law director, because, he knows the ordinances, front to back, so he could give me an immediate answer. So when I do this presentation for them, are we gonna include like summer months only? Or because, sometimes you can get droughts in September, October. So how do you want me to present this? Do we have a waternance, a watering ordinance? Is that what you're asking?
Yes.
And then you're looking for council to discuss it and say, okay, from the months of, just say June through September, you could water frequently. I'm just throwing this out. And then up till April, it doesn't get that hot in April. And
Here's a suggestion. Someplace I lived once in Illinois had it, if your address was an even number, you could water your lawn on even days, but not on odd. If your address was an odd number, you can only water on odd days. And it was through the whole year, and it was restricted also before, I think it was between 6 a.m. and 9 a.m., and then 6 a.m. and 9 p.m., something like that. So it was, you can water your lawn every other day, only at these times. And I think there was one, what's the word I want to use? If you were putting a new lawn in, it was a brand new lawn, you were allowed to do more than that.
okay.
But if it was an established lawn, that's just one suggestion. Other places do it different. If you're in a drought, it's more severe restrictions. If you're in a dry spell, it's a slightly, there's lots of ways to do it, but that's one suggestion.
So do you think that you and or the committee should come up with the language and if there is not one, then present it to Daisy?
I can
I'll see if
get a little more detail and
right.
look into it a little further and what might make the most sense
Okay.
in this area. Maybe give a couple suggestions and they can see what sounds best.
All right.
Could there be another side to that too? Because I understand wanting to monitor watering in a drought, but could there be something to the effect of, all the time you drive through industrial areas and they see where they have automatic sprinkler systems, and you're driving through the rain
Right,
and they're watering their lawn, which seems excessively wasteful.
right. Yeah, good point.
So, just,
That shouldn't be happening.
Yeah, it would at least be worth
Basically.
considering, like if you have some way of controlling the schedule, and there should be some method of if it's a torrential downpour and your automatic sprinkler turn
Aren't
on,
those
you should be able to
on
turn
timers though? I don't know if you could really control that very
Yeah,
well.
but-
Yeah, I don't know.
And I know
Good point. It's a good
some of the residents in the city, they have their own well water. So, there will be some exclusions to this. I think Old Mill Road, there's a lot of wells out there.
Liberty Road has residents with wells.
But well water is still coming from the
Right, it
water.
comes from the
Water's
same-
It's all
water.
part of the Earth's water, so I don't see why that should be singled out as not, they should still follow, if we're gonna have one, I think they should still follow it.
So is it fair to say like an incremental first step is to see if we have an ordinance on hand already that
Right.
addresses this?
Had I had my wits about me this week, I would have done that.
No, that's fair.
So.
Maybe we could ask the law, Daisy, maybe we could ask the law director, do any neighboring communities or communities in Northeast Ohio have a similar ordinance?
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
That way we're not starting it.
From scratch,
From
let's not
scratch.
reinvent the wheel, right?
Okay.
Is there a place online I can find out all the ordinances?
I could show you after.
Okay, yeah.
It's on the
like
city's website.
Oh,
It's,
okay.
under Document Center.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So, do we have such an ordinance? Are there communities in the region that have a similar ordinance? And if we were to have an ordinance, do we want it to be based on the calendar year, or would we recommend that it would be based on the conditions of a drought advisory or a drought season versus a blanket change? Does that make sense? As the reasonable asks?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Instead of just saying, hey, we're asking water evens odds,
When you water your lawn here, does it go through the sewers?
The runoff?
Mhm.
It would go into storm sewers, I would
Yeah, storm
imagine,
sewers.
if you
The
were
runoff
watering
goes
that
to storm
much.
sewers.
Yeah.
maybe the ordinance is that the watering's on a timer instead of just turning it on and letting it flow. There could,
If we really wanted to push the envelope, we would outlaw lawns altogether, but I don't think anyone's willing to go there right now.
We're gonna have impervious surfaces?
Exactly.
Then don't move
right.
to Macedonia, because there's a tax on that now,
Impervious
Oh,
surface.
yes, you pay money toward that.
They're in a
Or you
different.
don't have grass, so I
Yeah.
don't think that would be a great idea.
so some of it has to do with when municipalities were built and designed, how did they have the stormwater, the storm sewers and sanitary sewers combined versus separate?
I'm so happy that I moved here for my water bill to be so much less, so much. We had the Department of Environmental Services bill, which was always in the hundreds. So, anyway, that's not really relevant, but
So Virginia, Daisy's gonna carry that in and ask the questions, and hopefully for our May meeting,
Oh,
we'll have
We'll have it by May.
an update on where we are, and maybe a pulse of where the city administration wants us to go. Okay? Awesome, thank you.
Shantanu, I was supposed to visit Quasar. I didn't have a chance to visit them. I'm going to visit them this month, so I will catch everybody up on the next meeting. I wanted to check
And Quasar is
food compost. So I wanted to see if they can do it in the businesses and stuff and what they can do. I was looking more towards the businesses first, and then, I know you had talked about, home, just to get started up from there. So from a costing stuff and everything, I wanted to take a look at that.
Okay.
I wanted a contact, do you have a contact for waste management?
Vince Crawford.
Office management, I could give it to Chuck. I don't have it offhand.
Yeah, that's
I
fine. If you
give
can
you
get
Vince's
me,
number.
yeah, I would like to talk to them about a few things, and so. And I'll report back at the next time.
Okay.
So whenever you can get that. The third thing, I know what events we have planned and what kind of help do we need, and so which, if you can,
Okay.
if you can talk about that. So those are the three things I had.
I have his email address.
Okay.
Very simple. vcrawford@wm.com.
Okay.
It's easy.
And what's his position?
That's
He-
Vince. Yeah, Vince.
He
Okay.
is the liaison between waste management and municipal contracts.
Okay.
And he's been incredibly helpful to us as far as giving us access to the recycling center and ride experiences where we get to see how waste is picked up, household residential waste, and to maybe offer suggestions on ways residents could improve. And the improvements are pretty simple. If you have a material that's compostable, figure out a way to compost it. When I did the ride along, the bins that I saw that were 100% yard debris, 90 gallons of grass clippings going into a landfill. Branches that the city collects once a month, they could be chipped and they're recycled into mulch product going into a landfill. So part of it is like, how do we communicate to residents what options do we have for waste? And if they could be maybe a smidge more patient and wait a week for the branch clippings. The city crews, they get around once a month to every street in the city. They work really hard on that. And to watch it go into the bin that, you know, it should just be non-recyclable materials, which is sheet plastic. It's not recyclable in their stream. There's places to take sheet plastic, like plastic bags and whatnot. You can take them to the grocery stores to recycle them. Plastic toys, but you could oftentimes take those plastic toys to Goodwill and have them repurposed. Somebody else could use them. But it shouldn't be the things that could be recyclable or disposed of in a different kind of way. It should be true waste. So, and Vince has been incredibly awesome about opening the doors to how that works and giving us opportunities to see all that stuff.
Chuck, I have a question.
Yep.
Remember maybe 4 years ago, I would say, when we got those drums from Waste Management?
The drums were from the soda company.
Okay, all right.
And we did, with the Eagle Scout, we did rain barrels.
Yeah, we did the rain barrels, you know, with the water coming off the roof into your rain barrels, and it's the best water for plants.
Where are those?
So-
Did you have a class on it to teach residents how to do it?
We
The-
didn't at that time.
Because they do.
I don't think we did.
So the Watershed Partners puts on like a quarterly
Like a
programming,
workshop,
and they do a rainbow workshop. We partnered with a Boy Scout,
yes, we did.
and he actually installed
They
the rain
installed.
barrels
Yes.
For the residents?
for the residents.
And the rain barrels were free.
They still do that, I wonder.
We did 75, I think, is what
We did
it was
a
his
lot.
Eagle Scout project. So he
Wow.
raised the money for the fittings. Daisy was the chair at the time, and she worked a deal with one of the soft drink manufacturers. There's two in town. I forget which one gave us the barrels.
We did.
And then
Metal or plastic?
they were plastic, white
They-
60-gallon
Yeah.
drums.
And they could be painted.
Yeah, I saw a town that did a painting thing and then they auctioned them off.
There you go.
It was like a fundraiser.
There you go, Chuck. You have
It's really
an assignment.
I got
Are
this
there
on.
some places in Twinsburg that is not allowed? I heard that, I don't know if it's false or not, but They're not allowed.
What was that again?
So there is an ordinance for rain barrels. The question is, are there places where they're not allowed? And there's parts of the house that they're not allowed. So the street view,
Yeah, it's in the back.
it's in the back or
It's
screened
quite
some
dark.
way, shape, or form. And the rain barrel, should be a closed system. So in other words, when the barrel gets full, the water diverts back into where the gutter had gone before. It just doesn't overflow.
Those things fill up. You get one hard rain and the barrel's full.
Yeah.
I used to have them.
And then there's a limitation. I think it's 2 rain barrels per property or something like that. It's been a while since I read the ordinance. I had
Yeah, it
one.
was 2, yeah.
I did one and I did everything the right way. You know, there's other folks that
You still have yours?
I still have mine.
I still have ours.
I wish I was more of a gardener. I water my little flowers that Virginia would be mad. I can't seem to keep them growing.
That sounds like it would be interesting to investigate doing that again with an Eagle Scout. Definitely.
Which beverage company donated the barrel?
It was either we have Coca-Cola bottling and we have the Pepsi and we have 7-Up Snapple. I don't remember which one it was.
Coca-Cola is hard to
I
get
don't know,
into
was it
anymore. I've
Coca-Cola?
asked and asked and asked.
It might have been
Because
Coca-Cola.
my sister worked for Coca-Cola, so she was the one that was our go-to for the barrel.
Well, we have 3 in town, so.
Yeah.
Do you want to make calls? You're good.
I've tried before, especially during our last adventure with the library, and it was like Fort Knox.
Okay.
It's very difficult
Okay, we'll try.
doing anything. That might have been as a result of COVID and stuff too, that they were just being a little bit more careful with things. But speaking of water,
Were you done?
Yeah, I'm done.
Okay.
I'm sorry, City of Cleveland, who handles our water bills for Twinsburg, had a really nice brochure. And I know a lot of people just take that and throw it away, like they're not really looking at it. I opened it this time and there was some very useful information in there. And the one thing, if you're a homeowner, like I am, I have never gone to check my water meter. But the simplest way to see if you've got a leak in your house is to go down to your meter. There's a little triangle on your meter. And if it's spinning somewhere and you don't have any water running in the house, meaning you're not doing dishes, you're not taking a shower, you're not watering the lawn or anything, and that's spinning, you've got a leak somewhere in your house. But it has some very good points in that little brochure. I suggest you all, if you got one, open it up and look at it. Also, on the 22nd of this month, the library is doing an e-waste recycling. This is basically the library's presentation, and they're doing all computers that will be done right on site in front of you for secure purposes. They're doing cell phones and modems and DVD players, VCRs, anything you've got that's electronic, and you just pull up in back of the library, and they'll be doing that, and it's from 10 o'clock until 2 o'clock.
Do they do
April
TVs as
22nd.
well? Do they do TVs as well, or do you have to like
That's the
register
TVs
for
on
this?
here.
Yeah, they're on there.
Yeah.
It
So that
says
has
there's a
nothing to do with this
charge
commission.
if you have a CRT tube.
I would
An
imagine
old
they
TV.
do, but there were some things.
If you have a
about
real
the
old TV
tubes
with
and
the
stuff.
tube.
So the heavy
There's-
TVs.
Right. Yeah. Those
You-
huge.
Yeah.
Charge you a little bit.
Here, you
Tube
can, you
TVs.
can have this if you want.
Thank you.
Yeah, TV. There's going to be a charge for the TVs if you drop them off, and
Okay.
it's a CRT tube,
Gotcha.
cathode ray tube.
Anything else, Lynn?
That's all. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that for April 22nd is Earth Day. So it's great that there's an activity in the city to help get rid of that e-waste in a responsible way.
Shouldn't we put that on our little website thing?
I think it already is.
Yes,
Social
I
media
just
thing.
made a note to do that. I didn't have the flyer yet,
So I
so.
thought we did already, but who knows? Maybe I saw it somewhere else.
Possibly.
Okay.
I posted that on Twitter.
Right.
There's another one too, that's the day after.
That's-
You gonna talk about that
Yes.
one? Go ahead.
Are you
Don't want to
finished?
steal your
Okay.
thunder.
Yeah, just Twinsburg Garden Club is having an event at the library on Sunday, April 23rd, from about 1 to 3. It's going to be about seed starting, vegetable gardening, and composting, including worm composting. Open to the public, free. Bring all your gardening questions. Mark Gutowski is going to do one of the presentations. He has a couple plots at the community garden, and he's also an amazing photographer, so it'll be a great presentation. And then Jody Lyons from the library will be doing the worm composting, and she just has a small suburban lot, but she's trying to put in things that produce food, not only her vegetable garden, but shrubs, blueberry bushes, and, things like that produce food. So it'll be a good presentation.
Okay. Are you ready for something? Or Jonah, whoever.
I'll go first. Like I said, seems that this is the first commission that meeting that I've been to. I don't really have anything to add, but seems like there's a lot of good work going on. So I'm sure in the future I'll have some things to bring.
Okay. Sue?
I have one more thing from the library, because I used to work at the library 6 years.
You look familiar.
That's where people say that, yeah. This one is on Saturday, May 6th, so it's coming right after. It's called a Textile and Home Goods Recycling Day. And it was very interesting when I read this. You know how you lose a glove? What do you do with the other one? You normally throw it out. You get a hole in one sock. What do you do with you throw the whole pair? Mm-hmm. They're accepting all those mismatched gloves and socks and all that. And anything that's clothing or shoes, and you're not using it, it can have holes, it can have, not be a pair, but they're going to give it a second life and send it to, I don't know, somewhere that will recycle it and make it into, send it to international markets, I guess. Yeah, they'll reprocess it and it'll be used instead of being in the landfill. So that's on Saturday, May 6th. You want to have these? You can
And
have
that
these.
is, that's Simple Recycling.
Yeah.
We used to have a curbside program with Simple Recycling.
Right, they gave us those orange bags.
Yes.
Really?
So this
Okay.
is great that the library's doing that recycling event. And back when we had the curbside program, the materials went into the construction industry. So they would make various fillers and for a lot of
Insulation.
insulation
Yeah, good
and roofing
idea.
material and
Yeah, like
somehow
what's that cellulose made out of? That real powdery stuff. That's probably made out of clothing. Yeah.
They're a company out of Solon is where their nearest center was, and it's good that they're doing something, and we're having something in Twinsburg to service residents. May 6th. Okay.
All right, so I don't have a terrible lot, but I do have a couple questions. So I remember the last official meeting, I think we talked about, or you guys talked about, like the community cleanup, and we had done those in the past.
Right.
Did you guys ever land on a date for community cleanup in the future, or are we putting those on pause or moving away from those? I just don't recall where that conversation was in the February meeting.
Yeah. So here's where it stands, and this is full disclosure and honesty,
Yeah.
right? It's between me, Kayla, and Jen in recreation
Okay.
to figure out what a good date was to do it. And I don't mean it's more on me than them for not actually following up with the dates. But we did have some conversation about, are we going to have a community cleanup? The answer is yes. Would it be in the spring or the fall? Where would we do it? The answer was we don't know. In the past, we've done it on the roadways. The CERT crew helped us with traffic management, but even with your help, it's terrifying. So the move has been more to let's focus on our park systems, our trails,
Safer.
and to keep folks that are trying to do good things in safer places than on the side of a road. Especially Daisy and I have been on Highland Road.
Oh, man.
We've been on Chamberlain Road,
We're doing Haddon Road.
and it's
Ugly.
scary.
It's an experience, yeah.
Yeah, even with like a vehicle and a sign
Yeah.
and flashers
Yeah, they don't
and orange vest, it's
about really fast.
yeah,
It'd be a lot of
it's
work.
scary.
So the reason I ask is because I teach over at Brecksville, high school teacher, and they do a river sweep is what they call it. It's every year sort of thing. They take a group of biology students down to Cuyahoga River and actually kind of clean it up. we have Tinker's Creek right here. We have a whole bunch of parks in the city. I was wondering if we ever partnered as a commission or a city with the school, possibly, you know, biology classes or biology club if they have it, and seeing if they would like to, you know, partake or help out in possibly like a Tinker's Creek cleanup or something like the sorts.
So we did years ago when we had the city as naturalist.
Yeah.
We had the high school, this environmental club did invasive species on the tributaries that led to Tinker's Creek.
Okay.
Okay. But that kind of hasn't happened in a couple years. The other thing we've done is we've done elements of the creek with the watershed. I think Virginia, you were there with
Kate, yes.
Daisy. Were you there when we were waist high in the creek?
I don't think.
Did you have waivers
That
on?
was interesting, yeah.
And there's a chunk of the creek that gets cleaned thanks to the kayak events that gets.
Is it the Rotary?
The Rotary.
Yes.
There's an element of it that gets looked at and cleaned. You know, tires, debris gets picked out. But there, I don't know if we do kind of the south end
Right, because
of town.
I think it's important to especially partner with younger, you know, high school students, especially because we want to make sure that people care in the future, and you know, young students care, and people who are going to be the future care. And I think one way to do that is to help impact change or help them impact change by being an active participant in cleaning up the environment around us. And so that's why I ask, because you know, I see what it does for the students that go and do this. It's like a Saturday. They go give their time up. They get like a T-shirt, but they clean up the Cuyahoga River. They pull the tires out. They spend a whole day there, and they do that because they're part of like the biology club and the biology classes, and that's just what they do. And they obviously could earn service hours if they're in like Key Club or various different clubs, so it benefits them in that regard. But they also learn about the importance of it and why they're doing it, and they put their own sweat into it, and so that kind of helps remind them it's important to keep this clean. And so I don't know, I think it'd be important to, you know, try to include them in the future. I wouldn't even mind reaching out to the schools myself.
Cindy
Kurt, who is going to be at the garden. Shouldn't say she's going to be there 100% yet, but Cindy and Nora are prepared if the metro parks allow the city to partner with them again. There was a little hiccup with the form I submitted and the liability waiver that they had on file at the metro parks and needing to get a new one. So they have the new liability waiver. They just haven't given me the go-ahead of it's approved. But we have tentatively for Earth Day with the environmental club
Okay.
set up for recycling sort demonstration, rock painting because the high school is putting in a rain garden, and they're gonna, if we get to do this, it'll be an arts and crafts kind of thing, and the rocks that people paint will be part of the high school's rain garden, so it'll be somewhat colorful in addition to whatever will grow in this rain garden. They're prepared to do milkweed for the monarch and the other pollinators, and native plants that are set up in tubes, so like a make it and plant it kind of activity for kids. All this is pending on if the metro parks allow us to do it. If they don't, then I'll ask if we could figure out a different spot where we could do this, because they're ready to go.
Are you talking about on Saturday?
Saturday 4/22
Okay.
at the metro parks. I have had the request in there. I just got the thing that there was a hiccup with the what do you call it? The liability, and we got them a new one.
Are you going to work with Jen for the food? Did you guys, no food? You're not going to have any? Okay.
So
So
where
that-
would this be held?
That would be held at Liberty Park,
Okay.
but the Liberty Park that's part of with the Nature Center. because they have some other programming that goes into native plants and water usage and nature hike on Earth Day. So these other things would augment what they already had. Indications are it's going to get approved.
Very cool.
Is
When
there-
do you think you'll know?
Can't control what other people do.
Okay.
would we all get
gotta
notified
guess.
to come
Yes.
and?
That would be my next,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, because
So,
it's
I think
this month.
before we leave, I'm going to ask that we update our emails with each other when we're not doing the meeting. You know, when we're in British Sunshine Law. A way to contact each other outside of the meeting that we don't jeopardize your privacy to the community. Does that make sense? Did I say it right, Daisy?
Yes.
Okay. So there's that. We have a document shred day scheduled for June 24th at City Hall. The benefit of that is provides information security for those that have that kind of stuff that needs to be sensitive, and then it also goes right to the recycler. The challenge with the recycling stream we have with waste management is they're not equipped to take shredded or confettied material because it doesn't fit in their sorting system. So if you have a credit card statement and you're sending it into the recycling, it has to be the full sheet of paper for it to end up being recycled. Otherwise, it's going to fall through their sort system and end up in a landfill. So the intentions of recycling are lost by the limitations of the equipment that allow it to be, you take your recyclables, put it in one container, and they sort it.
Is that at Public Works again?
Public
or here?
Works.
The library has some of that too.
And the library has a regular bin out back for other.
No, they also have, I gave you that one about, the recycling day. No, not this one. The Earth Day, that one.
Earth
Read what this says.
22nd.
This says,
Oh, the hard drive shredding. So
You
the
can, yeah.
Summit e-waste, if you're recycling a computer or a hard drive, like if you have an external hard drive, they shred it on site to help limit identity theft.
right. I thought that was a good thing, because everybody's wondering what to do with, an old computer and cell phones and all that, because they don't want anybody to get their information.
I will get you Cindy's contacts.
Appreciate that. And then aside from that, I have nothing else to add except that I'm going to kind of continue on thinking on ways to involve or invite younger people to be involved in what we do. Aside from education, I also do large-scale event planning to the tunes of thousands of people. And so it's a knack of mine to get people involved and involve the community in these things. I just planned a parade, bonfire, and a couple events for the city of Broadview Heights and Brecksville. And so I do these sort of large-scale things outside of teaching and all of that. And so I'm going to be kind of thinking on a couple ideas on how to get people involved and motivated into what we do as well as a commission. So
That's great.
I want to give you a high five. That's awesome. That's the piece we've been missing.
And again, I think the young people would relate to a younger person too, so that's excellent.
So the tangible thing we have scheduled is June 24th, document shredding. Hopefully we get the Earth Day thing with the crafty kind of activities at the metro parks.
So do you need people to help with that? Or is there somebody running it? Or?
The high school kids are pretty much self-sustained once they're set up. If we do need help, I'll let you guys know. But I think that the Environmental Science Club is like ready to get those hours and do the activities like Jonah said.
right.
I think it's important that we would try to participate, even just being
Yeah.
there.
I
Right.
agree with
It
you.
sounds
Yeah.
like an
Yeah.
event for the students, but is the public invited? Like, are the rest of the residents of Twinsburg do they even know that it's happening? I've not heard of it.
Well, if it's not approved
If
yet.
it's not approved, it's hard to promote.
Ah. Right.
So when it is approved, how do we plan on promoting it? Because there is such a short window
Yeah, it's coming
of time.
Facebook page,
Yeah.
right? Can we put it on the
city website,
sign that's out here, flashing light sign, what do they call those?
Mark, yeah.
And the marquee. Mhm. What are the hours of that? Do you know yet, or?
I think I told them 10 to 2.
Same hours as the e-waste recycling.
Yeah. Yep, 10 to 2. That's what I asked for them. Now, they're in charge of their park, so they might say there was different hours.
Which park is Twinsburg in charge of?
Twinsburg is in charge of the parks. They have like the ball fields.
Oh,
the
like where
pickleball
we did the
courts.
cleanup last year?
Yeah, they're both called Liberty Park.
One is the nature center, and that's Metro Parks, right?
Right.
Okay.
The
And
other
these
one is
activities
ours.
would be at the nature center, like in the picnic pavilion. They have a little amphitheater area, and it's a little bit nicer.
Where is that actually? I'm sorry, I don't know.
It's on the end of Post Road, where Post Road
In Liberty.
dead ends into Liberty Road. If you
Okay.
continue straight, there's a beautiful Metro Park back.
Okay, I'm gonna have to check
With
that
a
out. Okay.
2.5 mile hiking trail
Right.
End of Post Road, okay.
that goes into some ledges. You guys have been back there,
Back there again soon.
and
For training, not for real. I mean,
it's,
hopefully.
it's
Hopefully not for
beautiful back there.
It is.
When I was a kid, it wasn't accessible that way. You had to know somebody in Aurora Shores in Reminderville
Wow.
that would let you sneak through their backyard to get there. Because the other way, you had to hike through a big cornfield that was on the front end of Liberty Park.
Okay.
You probably remember that, Virginia. You were, no,
No.
You don't remember the,
No.
Daisy
That was
remembers the
before
big
my time,
cornfield at the
yeah.
end of Liberty, like Post Road. If you went straight, it was all that meadow was farmland.
Those trees, there's a lot of trees in through
The
there.
trees are set back far. But where the ball fields are in the front of Liberty,
Oh,
3 football fields deep, is all corn.
Yeah.
So, we don't have any absent members to excuse. I don't think we have any miscellaneous. Do we have any miscellaneous business?
I just had one more item that I posted on the environmental page. The Akron, let's see, ARAQMD, Regional Air Quality Management District is offering $100 Visa gift cards for turning in your gas mower and getting a battery-operated mower. We did it last year and we wanted a new mower anyways, so we did it. It's on the Facebook page, and it's a great program. I don't know if anyone has an electric mower. It's so quiet, it doesn't smell, and it works really well, so.
and how much will they give you if you trade that in for one of those old school?
$100. Yes, yeah,
You get something for that?
maybe, worth asking.
And if I tear up my lawn, do I get anything?
Yeah, that would-
Besides thrown out of my subdivision?
That would be, yeah.
Don't laugh, I did that.
Thank
I'm
you
old
for
enough to-
reminding us of that that rebate. And there are some affordable lawnmowers that
Yeah.
basically you get darn near for free.
Well, I don't know, that's not what my husband selected,
Right.
of course, the cheapest one, but no, it's
There's some
good.
of them that are sub $200, so you get a half price. So awesome.
What do they do with the gasoline ones we turn in?
Take them to the scrapyard and recycle them.
Yeah, we took it to a mower place, and they said they would scrap it. Like, we sent a receipt from them that we turned it in. I mean, they were kind of loose about that on the honor system, I guess, but.
Okay. So our next formal meeting will be May 2nd at 7 p.m. And is there a motion to adjourn at 7:55?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second it.
Okay. No one's opposed, so we're adjourned at 7:55. Let me hit some buttons. Turn off things.